Okay, there we go. Now we're online. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Audio Hour number 123. Just like my address, 123. I had to get a simple address because I could not find my way home. So I petitioned the city to give me something really easy. Anyway, it's our weekly podcast where we discuss all things game audio, from creative ideas to the latest techniques, project experiences, to audio secrets. Here's where you find your in-depth coverage and opinions related to game audio. Vince, how you doing, man?
Yo, I'm doing okay. I'm having fun. I'm actually really tempted to break out the that old classic movie, the Taking of Pelham 123. After looking at that episode, looking at the YouTube link, I was like, is it really 123 episodes? That's fantastic. And what better
100.
way than to celebrate with some serial funk jazz,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Play it,
just
dude.
it's a crazy funk serial soundtrack. It's
Yeah.
just great if you haven't heard it.
Oh, I thought you were going to play something. I got all excited because you're our man, and you're a
Oh,
technology dude who just rips into the tunes and stuff.
oh man, no, I don't got it right now, and I'm pretty sure broadcasting that on YouTube will probably violate something and get us taken down right away.
Yeah, that's true.
But seriously, if you guys have not heard that soundtrack, check it out. And I mean the original film, not the remake from a decade back.
1974.
Yeah.
Spelled out 1, 2, and 3 rather than just the numbers. Ooh, boy, I can feel a cough coming on. I'm still dealing with this cold. Yesterday, this weekend, we went up to San Francisco. I was going to take a picture outside the Moscone and go, am I too early, GDC? I thought that would be pretty funny. And I stayed at my typical hotel, which is called it used to be called the Palomar. It's now called Hotel Zelos.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's, I don't know, it didn't feel the same. I think I might have to retire a tradition of staying at the Hotel Palomar.
That's too bad. I actually miss the Hotel Palomar. You
You've
know,
stayed there too, right?
yeah, from previous GDCs even. So,
Hey, can you fill the space for a second? I got a cough.
oh, no problem. Yeah, I miss the Palomar, and hey, we are a few months early for GDC, but that's probably a good thing because right now the Moscone Center is going through all that construction over there.
Oh,
So,
I didn't
yeah, did you
even know
notice
that.
that? Right
No.
between North and South Halls, they're doing a nice bit of construction there on that corner. That whole thing, the what's it called, the Esplanade Ballroom area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a whole lot of stuff there. Probably by next year, there's going to be, um, I don't know, more space for hopefully more cool things at GDC and other events in the future.
I went from going every year from when I first started going to going every other year. I think this is going to be my first span where I didn't go 2 years in a row,
Mm.
because we are I mean, we're in the planning and purchasing stages of going to Paris
Oh,
first week in May. And I don't know if I really want to go to GDC and spend all that money and then stay at a completely different experience in Paris. How do how does a person with no money live in Paris right now? Welcome to Paris, Kyle. To step forward is going to cost you $100. I'll just sit in the airport.
I I couldn't even begin to tell you. Have you been to Paris before? Because I've never been to France.
I have, yeah, but that's just lucky for all the time I lived in Germany. I keep
Oh, okay.
looking down at your picture when you're talking and go, you know what? Oh, that's because everybody can view it. I was going to lock you in and just have a regular conversation.
You can't do that. It's all
Man,
right. We
it's
can
weird
just.
how this whole system works because it makes my eyes like I'm looking at you, and then all of a sudden I look down because right now I'm just talking with me. Hey, Kyle, how you doing, buddy? Looking pretty good. No, that's not true. Um, so yeah, I have been, and I loved it. And but Bridget is crazy for Paris right now. She's 10. She's going to be 11 in February. It's a really good time, I think, to get her into that European experience, and hopefully, really have an imprint on her.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear.
Mm. So with that though, I might not be staying. I might not go to GDC.
Mm. Well,
I mean, if I
yeah.
have like, if EA hires me on a game and pays me $4 billion, I'm going to GDC for sure.
Well, okay. So you can't necessarily count on that, but maybe there are some other places where you can save some money. Or well, actually, do you finish all of your shopping for gear during Black Friday stuff, or is there still more that needs to happen?
There's still more. There's actually some really good sales that are out there right now. We've got, last year I went crazy on the Sona Kinetic stuff. I even did a show talking about how much I loved
Oh yeah.
DeSoto and Capriccio, and I love their stuff for we talked about it at length. But anyway, if you're into some fantastic sounding libraries, check out Sonokinetic's site, because starting today is the first of their 12 days of Christmas sale. Each day they sell something. You don't know what it's going to be, which is the fun, right? Because today is 50% off on 2D Vox, I think they call it, or 2D Vocals.
2D Vox, yeah, I see.
Yeah. And so,
cool.
you may, this is what's hard about it is, and they're so smart about it. You don't know where like you may want one or two things, and you don't know what days they're going to fall on. And it could be like the last 2 days. And so if you don't strike on the other ones, waiting on yours to happen, and then they don't happen, you're like, dang it, I didn't buy a darn thing. I missed all these great sales.
Yep.
It's a
that's
really
how they
smart
get
way of
you.
doing it. But
Yeah,
I noticed, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, everyone is doing that 12 days of Christmas thing. You've got to check in every day. So,
Absolutely.
Waves
is doing another one too, right?
Yeah, I think they are. I was looking at some of the other things, not just audio things, but some of the more general companies, like Microsoft is doing a 12 days of Christmas. Some other guys are saying, well, Black Friday has turned into the whole month, just extending these deals out.
Yeah, everybody has, from Steven Slate deal got extended. Somebody big I didn't do. Oh, I think it was, ironically, I think it was Isotope who extended something.
Yeah.
But I love them so much. It's hard. I buy Isotope the minute something comes out that I want, because they give deals too when they first release something, and I jump on it.
Right.
Don't necessarily need to buy it later and buy it again. Yeah, 10 days of holiday giveaways is what Waves is doing. And I did notice, I wanted to mention this, that in Sonic, if you go to Sonokinetics, theirs doesn't end at midnight our time here in California. I think it ends like a few hours later. So you get a little bit of an extension, but I don't think they're going to expose the next thing until one is completely finished.
Oh, actually, they're Sonokinetics actually being pretty nice about it, because it looks like they're going to let these days run for slightly longer than a day.
Yeah.
So the day one deal, it says that there's still 1 day and 14 hours left. So that's pretty nice.
It's like a day and a half deal. Now, during those last 14 hours, if they show you what number 2 is, that would be...
Yeah, weighing your options. Ooh.
Yeah.
Door number 1 or door number 2?
I wonder if that would increase it. That's hilarious. Or do you want what's behind the curtain at Waves? I think that increases their chances of sale, though, to expose the second one just for a little while.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. I don't know the marketing of that whole thing. But anyway, so you've got these guys. You're saying Microsoft. Who else?
Yeah. Who's an interesting one that we usually don't think about in the pro audio space, or at least some guys don't. But Magix is doing some stuff right now.
What are they doing?
And I actually don't really use Magix stuff much. I think many people think of them as doing the entry-level type software. But things have changed this year, since Magic just recently purchased the Sony creative software team. So the guys that made Sony Vegas and Sony SoundForge. That's kind of crazy, that.
It's funny how many people use Vegas. It's such a great program. There's so many really talented people.
It's really good.
They're using Vegas. I can't get over it. And I'd never even looked at it. Makes me feel like an idiot.
And people talk about Vegas. People talk about Reaper. And I think a lot of people don't realize that one of the major influences on the design of Reaper is actually Vegas.
Ooh.
Yeah. And yeah, there are a lot of good things in Reaper. Oh, okay. Yeah. 2 things that just don't go together for you, Kyle. But you should check them out. You should check out Vegas. You should check out Reaper. Definitely check out. It's free, or at least free to try out. And it's such a slim package.
Yeah. I have checked out Reaper, and it just didn't get me.
Okay.
People can yell at me later.
Yeah, that's fine. But if you're interested, though,
please.
If you're interested, just going back to the sales thing, Magix has a ridiculous sale. Samplitude, which is their big DAW, kind of like Logic or Sonar. It's a PC thing. It's a Windows thing. So you Mac guys, you don't need to worry about this. But if you're interested in a slightly different DAW experience, they're offering their big Samplitude Pro package, which is normally, I think, an $800 package for $199. Besides that, that $199 also gives you SoundForge Pro.
Now there,
which is
you've got me.
That's ridiculous. So if you haven't upgraded your SoundForge lately, like if you're still sitting somewhere on SoundForge 7 or 8, you're like, oh, okay, let's update to SoundForge 11. This might be a good way to do it. And hey, you get another DAW with various tools and plugins that you can check out. I'm actually tempted to get it, even though I am a SoundForge Pro 11 user, because Samplitude does have a couple of features I don't currently have in my toolbox, like DDP mastering and exporting. So if you care about CD and DVD audio images, Samplitude might be something to check out. And hey, you get another license of SoundForge Pro.
Yeah. Oh, well. So when I first was getting into post work, somebody sent me right to SoundForge, and I was on a PC at the time. Boy, did I miss the hell out of that. That is the only audio software I missed when I left PC and went to Mac, was SoundForge. And for years, I couldn't, I would lament all of these other stereo editors that I would be using on the Mac side. From Peak, I think, is where I tried really hard to like.
Yeah.
Did not care for it. Of course, I was a
Go
Cubase
to
guy
Wavelab.
Yeah, Wavelab. I was a Cubase person at the time. I did. I went through the whole Wavelab attempt, and it didn't stick with me. And the problem was not that those were bad products, is that SoundForge was just so ingrained in my DNA that those seemed like a foreign language. I ended up settling on, just to finish the thought, I ended up going with one that came out later that I love, called Twisted Wave.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good product. Twisted Wave makes me feel like I'm using SoundForge. But I missed SoundForge until like a year, maybe 2 ago, that I found Twisted Wave. I don't even know if it was that long ago. And then SoundForge did the Mac thing finally, but I heard it wasn't a very good version.
Nope.
Yeah. So I'm out of this sale, but man, is that a good deal? SoundForge on the PC.
Yeah.
I
like SoundForge a lot. I mean, there's always been some weird things with SoundForge. There's actually one really niggling bug that has survived the jump from SoundForge Pro 10 to SoundForge Pro 11. And it just has to deal with hitting the enter key on this one dialog box that I use a lot, which is the export audio regions box. For some reason, if I hit enter on that box, it will not work. I have to use the mouse to click the OK button.
Oh,
but
that's a weird one.
It's such a weird one, but it's just little things like that. But otherwise, it's honestly a really, really fantastic product.
Michael Hoffman in the chat room is saying that he got 2D Vox last year. Might have been the same sale.
Oh, yeah.
It is 12 Days of Christmas for Sono Kinetic, and they have a lot of stuff. But they don't have so much that they could do, 2 different 12 Days of Christmas sales each year, where they don't repeat anything. Mm-hmm. So it's a good chance to get in on these things that you may have liked. I'm waiting to see if Michael Hoffman liked it. I listened to it. Of course, it sounds great.
All their stuff sounds really good.
It sounds so good. That might be, honestly, the sweetest library for my ears. That might be the one I like the sound of the most.
Huh.
And I don't know what it is about where they recorded it, but man, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so SoundForge for $199, but you got to be PC. I don't imagine they're going to do here you can have the DAW, which is only PC, and then you can choose whether you want the PC or the Mac version of SoundForge, are they?
Yeah, I don't think so. They don't mention anything about the SoundForge Mac version. I mean, they mention it elsewhere on their website, sure, but not with this deal that they've got right now. Let's see. Actually, I should just put it on the website, on the chat right now, so you guys can check it out, because it really is a fantastic deal. Here we go. I'm just gonna copy it.
I'll put it in the show notes as well.
There we go. So yeah, it's $199 for these two things for just 4 more days. It's the the sale was actually due to end today, and I guess they just recently decided to extend it to December 15th.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Yes. You know, on their website, you don't find it. I was searching.
Mm. Yeah. So very
$400
cool.
upgrade coupon, a discount. Wow. Jeez. Wow.
This
Jeez,
actually
regular.
got me wondering a bit, though.
Yeah.
Since you got Soundforge, you got Samplitude. For me, I have Sonar and Reaper, and I have Soundforge. I was wondering, Kyle,
Hmm.
when you're doing sound design, how do you usually start out? Do you start out inside of Soundforge or a two-track editor like Soundforge, like a Wavelab, or I guess for you it would be Twisted Wave? Or do you start in a DAW like Ableton?
It's you know, now and for a very long time, it's Ableton DAW because I know I'm going to layer so many things together that
Mm.
I can't do it in just a simple two-track guy. It causes me some trouble. They have some that have been designed to do that, to add
Mm.
multiple layers to. I'm trying to think of, as a matter of fact, Apple had one called Soundtrack Pro, and I used that early on in my career, and that was really cool. But it didn't. Its mentality was different than what I was used to. Like I kind of want, you know me, I like that analog feel, so I wanted to put a sound on each channel,
Mm.
just mix and add, bus to different reverbs and delays and stuff. And Soundtrack Pro didn't click with me. There was another one along those lines I want to mention just in case people are looking at it, made by Rogue Amoeba. I'm looking for it right now on my Slate Raven, which I'm loving. Um, which is my Christmas gift from Santa. Thanks, Santa. I love it when you come early. I think I said it last week. I have to lock Bridget out of here so she doesn't see this, so that when I unwrap the box at Christmas, she won't be like, "Dude, that's been on your desk for a while. What's up with this Santa thing? I thought he was real." I'll say, "Yes, he is real. He's real in the spirit of people." I think Rogue Amoeba makes it, but I'm not finding it right away. It looks, yeah, it's Rogue Amoeba, and the icon looks like a chemical spill warning kind of icon.
Oh, Fission?
Fission. Yeah, I think Fission has the ability to kind of, yeah, let me look on the website. That'd be better. I'm not crazy about that one either. I don't, it's just that the workflow is so strange. I don't like it when people force a workflow on you that is too disparate from what the majority of audio software workflows are. That's a little weird. It's like you've got all these people used to this way, and if you are too alien to it, then it's not helping anybody. And they may even say that, hey, this is a better workflow, and they may be right, but if it's too foreign, if I have to jump from like a PC to a Mac in my brain set, then it's just too difficult for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Rogue Amoeba has some great stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm using one of their products right now to keep my mic, to get the microphone going. Love what they do.
Okay.
But,
you're using Loopback.
Yeah, but
that makes sense.
Excuse me. I'm still fighting this cold in 3 weeks. So, but yeah, I don't. I stack a bunch of stuff, and some of it gets destroyed. Sadly, some of it doesn't. What do you do?
I kind of go all over the place, actually. It feels like different types of sounds, I'll start in different places. If I am doing something that's really very musical, actually, all of my musical templates are in Sonar. I still have this divide between Sonar and Reaper, where Reaper is my DAW if I'm dealing with a lot of voice and making things that are very much sound and not musical in any way. And Sonar is the place where I have my contact, my other things that are very much musical instruments. So, okay, I do that in Sonar, and then I have other things in Reaper. But then there are often sounds where I'll actually start it with inside of SoundForge, actually. Usually when I'm making really small things, very, very tight sound effects where I have a very small window of time that I'm dealing with, and I want to have that utmost control. And I know that I'm probably going to be drawing on the waveform a bit with the pencil editor.
Yeah.
Or I'm having a lot of little things that I know are going to aggregate in an interesting way, in a really hopefully controlled way. So I want to have that control right away from the beginning. So I actually do most of the work from the beginning, starting in SoundForge.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how do you, I mean, you can't merge those together into one thing. They really have to stay separate.
Um, I don't know. Sometimes I'll get things and I realize, okay, I need to save out my SoundForge project into a couple of different WAV files and then throw it into Sonar or throw it into Reaper. Eventually anything that I do is probably going to go into SoundForge for that final look-see, because I want to have that very close look at the samples and know exactly what's going on, because maybe I'm a little bit too annoyed by this, but when I start piling on lots of channels or lots of effects, sometimes it really bugs me when I can't really see or really predict where my peaks are.
Yeah.
I'll be monitoring and it will tell me, oh, I have a peak over there. And then I'll play the whole thing again. And because of either the non-deterministic nature of some of the plugins I'm using or just random happenstance, that peak is not there anymore. I'm like, oh, darn it. And maybe I shouldn't worry about that stuff so much, but having that security of, hey, I'm in SoundForge, those samples that you're looking at right now, that's exactly what you're going to have blasting through those speakers.
That is the strength of SoundForge. That's it was one of the best zero crossing programs as well. Like, could identify exactly where things were going across the zero. Where other things I was using, I would still get little clips and little clicks because it wasn't calculating zero crossing properly.
Yeah, just the speed with which it will calculate that. And, okay, I'm going to make a slice here and then just ever so slightly nudge that thing in order to make that crossfade just right. And I don't quite get that precision in either Sonar or Reaper.
Yeah. Ha! Well, you shouldn't use Reaper. Wait a minute. I'm being hard on it. I was just thinking, but why doesn't a DAW just incorporate, like, I know that in the settings that you can go in there and select what your stereo editor is going to be. Mm-hmm. But I wish that they would have something built in that just carried you on through without loading up a new product or anything like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think that would be really awesome. I always figured that since we have all this power these days, and it's not always running all the time. Hey, you've got a big project. If you're not playing back anything, you got wasted CPU cycles. You're not running at 100%. I always thought it would be really useful if that. Let's say I'm actually working on a music piece and I decide to move my MIDI notes over. Okay, I'm just moving the MIDI notes. I'm not actually monitoring the playback. Yeah. But what if on that final output bus, it will actually have an updating visual representation of the exact waveform that this project is going to spit out? That would be incredibly awesome. And I think a good way forward for me to actually start starting in my DAW for sound design projects where I might think, oh, well, I really want to use SoundForge for this. Just that constant feedback of what's going on visually on a sample level.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to stick in here that the product I was thinking of that's kind of newish, and I confuse these two companies together, is from Audiophile Engineering. It's called Triumph 2.5. That's very similar in some ways to what was going on with Soundtrack Pro from Apple for sound design. And I just can't, I've got it, but I just can't get my head wrapped around it. I'd love to get them on the show and just talk about, that'd be great to have. I don't want to be competitive, but, and we certainly don't want to choose a favorite because everybody's workflow is different, but it would be cool if we got some 2-track software people, or stereo software editor people on the show to talk about their different products. Because I think half the time I don't like a product, it's just because I haven't figured out how to make it work. And it's all about knowing your tools,
Yeah, that would actually be really cool. Get some Hey, so the audiophile guys are in Minneapolis?
Minneapolis,
Yeah.
and they make a lot of great stuff too. I've a lot of my friends who don't like iTunes at all, I recommend them to their to Audiophile Engineering's um, stereo guy called Fidelia,
Huh.
Fidelia. It's a good alternative to iTunes.
Oh, that's cool.
I run all my high def audio stuff through there as well. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because people might have been going, Rogue Amoeba, I don't know what you're talking about because Fission is not going to do what Kyle's talking about. I actually meant Triumph from Audiophile Engineering.
Okay.
Uh, you know what? We should
Cool.
take a moment and say it's already the middle of the show. We should take a moment and say thank you, Isotope, for sponsoring the show. We really appreciate it. And to everybody who came in here to say, hey, they're going to do another contest, we have to postpone a week. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to do something very special, and I want to clear it through Isotope before we do. And sadly, my fault. I only sent the email today to our contact at Isotope to find out if it was possible for us to do this very special thing. And I'm sure that they'll have an answer back to me within the next day or two, which means that next week we'll do our contest. But so sorry for the delay, everybody, but it'll be worth it, trust me. And thank you, Isotope, for sponsoring the show.
Yeah. Thank you, Isotope, even though you don't make a traditional two-track editor.
Well, I was going to go to that because RX lets me do the things you were talking about with like going
Oh,
in on the wave.
it does a lot of those things. It's
Yeah,
great, but it's
and I
definitely far from a traditional two-track editor.
dude, today I was working on I was working on some VO stuff, and the background noise was so bad that I went through my typical EQ settings and tried to notch out where the stuff was and not affect the voice. And gratefully, it was a high hiss, and
Mhm.
the person's voice was a low voice. But in notching it out, I wasn't able to really have as strong an effect on that background noise as I wanted. So I widened my cue, and then you could hear the voice just starting to go away. And I was like, dang it, I
Mm.
can't do that. So the next step is to notch in a couple of really key areas. But the key areas that were going to have the biggest effect were really right next to each other. So even though I had a thin cue right next to another thin cue, when this cue comes up, it comes up at a lower circle and then goes into the other. So you end up with this really wide cue with this small little bump in the middle. Still wasn't doing what I wanted it to do.
Mm.
So what I did is I selected just the high frequency of the noise in a spot where the person wasn't talking, not the whole thing, which typically I'll denoise a whole from top to bottom of the frequency. I'll just denoise the whole thing. This time I just went in and got this little stamp size, and I hit learn on the denoise module, and then I processed that all the way across. And what it did is it took that high end stuff I was trying to get rid of and brought it down to the level of the rest of the noise. And then I was able to just select the whole noise field from the entire frequency top to bottom, learn that, and then process that on the thing. And that's unbelievable. It's like magic. Rather than the old days of running all of these de-essers and filters and everything you would do to try to get rid of background noise, it's just this simple. In this case, I had to do it in 2 steps. Typically, it's in 1. It's unbelievable how good that got rid of all of the noise that's behind that person's voice.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So I'm wondering though, what was the case for this? Like, was this a voice actor just sending in files from his or her home that she or he had recorded, or?
It's exactly what it is. A lot of people
Mhm.
record and they don't realize that their room is loud, and they want to get that nice, rich, bassy. I can do it because I've got a cold kind of radio voice, and so they get right up on a condenser microphone, and what they don't know with their headphones on is that their whole room is going, behind all that. Drives me crazy. So I and you can't say, hey, do it over, because they're in the mood, they're in the zone, they're doing their thing. So you go, okay, I got to get rid of it. And you try to help. It's of course measure twice, cut once. You try to prep beforehand, and then people are recording on their laptop fans. They've got the script right there on the laptop, and you can hear the laptop fan going off. And man, I'll tell you, that denoise module in RX gets rid of so much of that stuff. You just got it, and you got to be smart about it. Like I start, if it's really bad, I'll do only like a 4 to 6 dB change between what the room noise is and what I'm going to bring it down, because you can start to get the voice can start to get really underwater and have these weird kind of sounds with them. That's really really annoying. So you got to be careful not to cut into the voice. But I've gone as strong as 12 and just get rid of all that stuff. And it's such a good product that even at 12, which I actually probably use more than any other number for the reduction and denoise, it still doesn't hurt the actual content, which is really impressive. Today it did, so I had to step through this process, but it was a really complicated sound background that I was trying to get rid of.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty awesome that, RX can do it. RX can do a whole lot of things. Yeah. And but man, it does sometimes you just think, man, it would help so much if they just paid a little bit more attention.
Yeah.
And there are voice actors that do pay attention. There's some voice actors that actually really care a lot about this, and are like, okay, I need to make sure my computer's out of here. I'm gonna really treat my room well, or I'm going to actually have a separate booth. I'm not going to bring my computer into the booth while I'm recording. I'm going to bring an iPad or something. Actually, let's see. There was a voice actor I was hanging out with, and that's exactly what he did. He would not use the iPad. He was actually one of these guys that he also edits and cuts his own voice before sending it off to places. But that means that his computer is outside, and then he's got the microphone pointing down at him inside this booth, and he'll do a take, walk out. Okay, let's see what SoundForge looks like. Okay, that looks like crap. Okay, gonna come back in, out, in, out, in, out. And oh man, it's so funny. And it's really painful, actually, if it's a really serious issue where you're trying to get just the right just the right gravitas for the voice, just the right tone, and just having to deal with that computer, this really high powered computer, being outside the room because it has to be with the fan running.
Yeah.
But man, if there's one thing that I'm really thankful for these days, it's that now you can get some really awesome computers that don't have fans.
Yeah.
I remember before, okay, you got iPads, and hey, iPads don't have fans. Maybe people will do some really cool productivity software for those things, audio editors, and there are actually a couple of things that are actually pretty good, but those things are not SoundForge. I mentioned last week that I got a new computer. I got this new tablet.
Woo! Who makes it? Acer?
It is an Acer, actually.
Nice.
It's I think some people would say that this is a cut rate version of Microsoft Surface Pro, which I think is not really appropriate because this thing actually one-ups the Surface Pro in some ways. So the Microsoft Surface Pro is a really good tablet convertible machine. You could snap on and off the keyboard. It has high-powered processors, the Core i5, Core i7 processors, a really nice high-res screen. This has pretty much all those same things, except for one thing. The Surface Pro has a fan. This one has no fan. It's liquid-cooled.
Liquid-cooled?
It is liquid-cooled in here. So yeah, you could spec this up to an i7 and no fan. No noise.
Wow. What's the liquid doing in there? I mean, what kind of liquid are they using? How quickly does it cool off? Does it travel all around the case just to get a chance to cool off?
I'm not sure. I know I'm not going to break the case on this to find out. But it does a really effective job. It's the thing does not get too hot. It runs at good speed. It has no problem doing any intense SoundForge stuff or any of my SoundForge plugins or like my Isotope or things like SFX Machine Pro or any of the Native Instruments plugins that I sometimes use in SoundForge. It's fantastic. And I kind of wish that more guys would do that if they're going to be doing VO stuff. Okay, I can read a script on my iPad, and that's pretty much what I see people do as voice actors. Okay, I need something. Okay, I'll hold an iPad while I'm reading the script. But something like this, where you have a really awesome screen, a really decent powered processor, and no noise, and a full Windows computer.
That's amazing. What's the inches on that? Is that 15?
No, it's small. It's like a 12.5 inch.
Okay. And how much memory comes with
that? This one's 8 gigs.
8 gigs. And what is the CPU?
It's a Core i5. So it's not the latest generation. It was the one that was introduced last year. But it's still pretty good. It turbo boosts over 2 gigahertz and whatnot. So
now, it's none of our business what you paid for it, but I'm on Amazon and I see a 12-inch Intel Core i5 Microsoft Surface Pro, but it's got 128 gigs of RAM and of course a fan at $569. Did you pay more or less?
I paid slightly more. So this Surface, let's see, has a 256 gig SSD and 8 gigs of RAM. And I paid $650.
No, I wasn't going to try to get your number out of you.
Oh man, no. Well, I mean, I'm just saying these things are affordable now.
Yeah,
they're really affordable.
i5 computer, and I imagine the memory is expandable through some sort of thumb drive or slot.
Yeah, actually, like the total memory, there is an SD card slot in here, so I just popped 256 gigs in there. So I've got 256 plus another 256.
Because you're going to do that with this Surface Pro anyway, even though it comes with 128.
Yeah.
You're still going to pop something else in there.
Yeah. So
that's really nice, but liquid cooled.
Liquid cooled, no noise.
A friend of mine bought one of these, the Samsung watches. I'm a Pebble dude, right? Like I got involved.
Oh no!
Immediately with that Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And what's it been? 2 years that I've had the Pebble, and I don't like wearing jewelry or watches or anything. But because of all the tech in the Pebble, I was like, oh, I like wearing that thing and having all the access to it. And it is now deader than a doornail. They're not doing anything with it. They're like, here is a piece of plastic. Thank you, Kickstarter. And we're not going to upgrade. We're not going to help you with bugs. You're on your own. So I'm like, oh man. But a friend of mine just recently got the Samsung smartwatch.
Oh, the Gear?
I don't know what it's called.
It's called the Gear?
The iWatch. And he was saying he can even be away from his phone and make phone calls with it, like Dick Tracy style.
Wow. Yeah, I see the Samsung Gear S3 now. I guess
I'm going to look it up so I can. Yeah, it's circular. I'm guessing it's like an S2 or S3 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
It's really, really good. I was really impressed. So what I'm getting at is that there are people making fantastic options that don't have to be the number one brand. You can get an Acer that's fantastic. It doesn't have to be a Microsoft. Surface Pro. You can get this fantastic Samsung Gear 3. It doesn't have to be the Apple iWatch, although Apple will get ticked. I mean,
in many cases, they actually address certain needs. Microsoft does make a Surface that has no fan in it. But the thing is, that has one of the low power Core M processors, or the Intel Atom processor, which is, low power. You can do stuff with it, but it's not great if you want to really crunch some numbers.
I wonder if it's because of some sort of patent restriction that, like, they can't have a nice big CPU with this liquid cooled processing that they're using.
I don't know. I mean, there are other companies that do the liquid cooled thing. It's just not really that common. And usually that means it's a very expensive product. But in this case, wow, this is a really affordable, cutting edge laptop tablet convertible with a good processor.
Now, does it have phone capabilities like an iPad can have?
Oh, this thing? No, it doesn't.
Because that would be an issue if you're in a booth with that and it's like trying to retrieve data.
Oh yeah, those little clicks from just communicating with the cell phone tower.
Yeah.
You gotta love those.
And Bluetooth is, I can always see Bluetooth in RX. It's 21.8 kilohertz frequency. You just see the straight line going across the top.
21.8. Well, thankfully, that's not a huge issue. Just like clamp it down.
21.8K is, yeah, you can't hear it anyway, but I see it, so I clean it up because that's the way I am. Like, I know it's there. I got to get rid of it. I got to do the right thing.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's useful because you put it into your compressor in Fmod or Unity or whatnot. It's going to try to compress it regardless, and
Yeah.
But let's help along the compressor a bit and say, no, you don't need to deal with this stuff.
Dang, I got a cough trying to ruin the show. You stop it, cough. So we went up to San Francisco this weekend, as I told you, and we oh my god, I made the biggest mistake. All the places, so Jen and Bridget have never been up to GDC with me, obviously, and I have a bunch of favorite things I like to do when I'm at GDC. I always have to do, and we had one day, and so I said, okay, we're going to go here and eat, then we're going to go there and eat, then we're going to go over here to the pier, then we're going to go to Giardelli's, we're going to do all, we got to do all this. We're going to go to get a drink, although it was too late. Bridget couldn't get in. I don't know why they don't let 10-year-olds into bars, but she couldn't get into Vesuvio, which is my favorite place to go. But then we went to the bookstore next door. We went down Jack Kerouac Alley. I mean, all these things, went through Chinatown and just had a blast. Went to Japantown with Ian and Mary, which was fantastic because they met us for lunch at House of Nanking, which is my favorite place to eat when I'm in San Francisco. It's such a great place because it's got this reputation. Although they were sweet as ever, which I almost felt bad. I wish they wouldn't have been. I've been there so many times where the matriarch of the restaurant will come up and look at the table, and it's usually a bunch of us, and she'll just say, "What do you want?" And like, no menus. You can't have any menus because this could take forever to order. She's like, "I'll just bring you stuff." And the only thing she asks is if there's any food allergies. And if the whole table says no, they just start dropping plates. And they cook stuff in like 5 seconds or less. I don't know how they're doing it, but there's this constant flow of plates at House of Nanking. Mm-hmm. And you're eating some of the very best. I love that place so much. I bought the shirt. Just so much great food there. And then when you get done, and you pay the bill, this is what happened to me once anyway, and it just has stuck with me, is the lady, the matriarch, just looked around the table and said, you now leave. I was like, oh, she's so sweet, and I'm like, all right, we better get the heck out of here because, but there's a line of people waiting to get into this place. And I feel sorry for the restaurants that are right on either side. There's one on one side. There's like a bodega on the other, but there's like nobody trying to get into their place. Everybody's in front of their door and window trying to get into House of Nanking. And she kicks you out. You're out of here. Get out of here. You're done eating. You've paid your bill. I don't want to see your face. And so I love that place. And so I took Jen and Bridget, and Ian and Mary met us there. And they like the food too. And they live in the area, or they live across the Bay Bridge. And everybody was so nice. I felt bad. It's almost like I started wondering if like a Yelp review came in and said they're so mean there, but that's the whole point.
Oh man, it's really funny. I guess it's our we're going to be sidetracked into the game food hour. Yeah. But you mentioned House of Nanking. I actually really enjoy their sister restaurant. Do you know about it?
I don't. What's it called?
It's called Fang. So
that's the name of the chef.
Yeah, he's got a second restaurant, which is over on Howard Street, just south of Market. It's really good. And you go there and you do a similar thing. Hey, I'm here with a party, and it's like, and then last time I was there, Peter Fang was actually there. It's like, do you want me to just give you stuff? And like, yeah, sure. Okay. So we don't need these menus. And then we just get this wonderful 6 courses for the whole table. And it's like, oh yeah, this is fantastic. Oh, so awesome. It's funny that you mentioned it. I love House of Nanking. I also love Fang Restaurant, and it just happens I generally go to Fang a little bit more because it's closer to say Moscone and whatnot.
I had no idea it even existed. Look at this place. It's all beautiful. I mean, House of Nanking is, you are in like the original restaurant in Chinatown, and all of the ambiance is there. It's a clean place. It's a fantastic place. But it's not all ritzy like this Fang restaurant.
Well, Fang's not that ritzy. It does have a downstairs area, which is a little bit more dark wood and whatnot. But you just go in the front, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a Chinese restaurant. It's nice, and I guess we don't have to order because we're gonna trust this dude to give us some good stuff, and
you don't have to.
We'll get some really good stuff.
And I guess if you get on YouTube and you look at the there's a show on the Food Network called Chopped.
Yeah.
I assume daughter of the what's the name of the guy who started Nanking and Fang?
Oh yeah, Peter Fang.
Peter Fang. I think it's his daughter. She won Chopped one of the years. So I'm anxious to get on YouTube and watch the episode. Maybe she's like, no, you will like this food, and that's all there is to it. And that's how she won. It's like purely through the way they kind of handle you at the restaurant. I love it. I really do. And all the people were there. All the same characters that I have seen for the past 5 or 6 years were there. It was just wonderful. There were a couple of new faces, but it was awesome. And they just had so many great things. And you'll see on my Twitter feed, Instagram, what really blew Jen and Bridget away. And I had never seen it before either because I don't drink a lot of tea. But I knew about it, but I hadn't had it myself personally. Is that when you order the green tea, it's got a little ball in the bottom that it's a flower, and when the tea is ready, the flower opens and starts to climb up to the top of the glass.
Yeah,
really a wonderful experience. And then Ian and Mary took us into Japantown, which was fantastic. The food, we had what's it called? Liquid oxygen no, I guess it's nitrogen.
Liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, liquid nitrogen cereal. So they took Fruity Pebbles and totally froze it, and all the Fruity Pebbles got really big. And then you eat them one at a time, and as you're eating them, smoke's coming out of your nose and your mouth interchangeably as you're chewing on this Fruity Pebble. And, that was really fun. I know you've been to Japantown in San Francisco, right?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I don't remember liquid nitrogen on Fruity Pebbles.
Well, they have like a big shopping center right there, and you just we went all over the place there. It was fantastic. And I thought of you because I was like, whenever I see pictures of you traveling, you're usually in a place that looks so very similar to what I was experiencing at Japantown. I thought, I'm finally like experiencing a little bit of what Vince is accustomed to. I thought it was wonderful.
I don't know if I'm accustomed to that. I don't travel that much, honestly.
Well,
I've been to Japan twice, 2 times. That's not all.
Good. I've been twice. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we matched there. All right.
Now one doesn't count. I was in the military.
It's something.
Okinawa felt like it was beautiful. That's for sure. But it was so anglicized and Americanized. It kind of felt like I was in a regular American place. I shouldn't say regular. That's not polite, but a typical American place. Mm-hmm. I was going to mention something about San Francisco, and we got off on food. By the way,
I'm sorry.
No, I could talk about it forever because it was such good food. And go up to Ghirardelli. That's just an amazing experience. I'm sure you've been there. It's a whole campus basically on a block. We walked from Pier 39 to Ghirardelli. That I don't advise. The Ghirardelli sign is so big that when you're on the pier, you think, oh, that's not far to walk. Let's start walking. You're like, holy cow. Man, by the time we got there, we were just exhausted, but it was great chocolate. Had a great time. Darn it, what was the other thing I wanted to mention? I've got to think about it. So I've got the restaurants and Vesuvio, which was fantastic. I don't know, the Palomar. I guess I named everything. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is anybody, somebody made a comment on my Facebook feed. They're like, are you just eating all day? I was so over full the whole time I was there because there's so much great food. But I condensed what I normally do in a week to one day, so everything was about. Man, I did not sleep well. It was just a mess. I don't recommend that. There's so much good food. You really have to pace yourself out when you're in San Francisco.
Well, eating is one of those things that us humans have to do to survive.
It's the worst addiction ever. It's my only vice. Like I cannot avoid a chocolate chip cookie. I just can't because my brain's going, this chocolate chip cookie may be different than all of the millions of others you've had. And it's terrible. And you have to eat to survive. So you can't I smoked way back in my 20s. It was easy to quit. I didn't like smoking. I just quit. It didn't seem like a big trouble. I literally just kept having my first cigarette of the day later in the day. And then it was like 11:30 one night. And I was like, why am I having my first cigarette now? Just stop. and that's how I quit. But food, I cannot quit because I have to have that. And having that discipline to say, no, I'm not gonna eat that chocolate chip cookie. I'm gonna get a smaller portion. All of those things are so difficult. And I did not exercise that in San Francisco.
Well, that's okay. You're not in San Francisco right now, so back to the normal regimen.
Back to the norm. You know,
Yeah.
I've been listening to you on the show for what we've been doing this for like 3 years, haven't we?
Geez, close to it. Yeah.
I remember we did our first year anniversary at exactly our 52nd episode. And then I don't even know if we said, hey, we're crossing over from our second year into our third year. But are we close? I mean, January would be the start technically of our 3-year anniversary. Do you call it a 2-year anniversary? Because we've been doing it. We're starting our third.
Would that be the, I don't know, would that be the biennial? Yeah. But yeah, I guess we didn't do, I don't think we did anything special for episode 104. And I don't remember exactly what we did for episode 100 either.
Yeah. I think we did something for 100.
We must have done something, yeah.
I think we'll just celebrate our next anniversary on January. I think it's 7th is when our first show was. So maybe 14th. Seems pretty close to New Year's Day.
Hopefully it's January 14th because January 7th I will be out of town.
No, where are you going to be?
Yeah.
Japan.
Yes. My third trip to Japan. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. But no Alex this time, Mr.
No Alex. Alex. Yeah. That's too bad. I'm gonna have to find someone else to hang with and have interesting conversations with while I'm hanging out in Osaka.
Well, I hear that. Oh, I can't think of the name. Never mind. I've never been good at just remembering Japanese names. My brain just doesn't lock on it. It's very difficult. You guys are very good at it. And I appreciate it because I can go. You know that guy who did the soundtrack for the whatever, and you'll be like.
Well, I don't remember the guy who did the soundtrack to the whatever at the moment.
Well, I was going to say before the show closes, I wanted to talk a little bit about, let's see, did we cover everything? We were talking about your laptop, which is beautiful. We were talking about the sales that were going on, and man, that SoundForge deal is a killer deal. Let me look out the chat. I haven't been on the chat.
I think guys sort of quieted a bit since we've been talking about the food for not quite an hour, but it sounds like the game food hour right now.
Oh yeah, and Michael says write down the places at GDC. Absolutely, man. I'll put a list together of and typical places where there are parties as well. That's really important. And on Facebook, there's typically a group that is watching the party invite system that happens at GDC because it's not easy to get invitations to the parties. But I remember one year Microsoft did like a Blade Runner party that was amazing. I'll never forget the year that I went to the CCP party at some go-go dancing club where game developers were upstairs on an X getting whipped with their shirt off. That was rather weird. Thanks, CCP.
That sounds weird. I never saw that.
It never got,
kind of glad,
to be honest, it never got like overrated PG. Nothing ever got crazy. Like the go-go dancers were in cages, fully clothed. The gross part was just all the developers who were like lining the stairs to have their turn being strapped to an X and being whipped. And nobody was in any position that was insulting. It was just like, shirt was off or something. That was it. Or no, fully clothed. It was just like, that's an experience I don't necessarily want. But I'll never forget, I was talking with a person, which it would be inappropriate for me to name the game company or the person, but I was going for a gig and they were like, meet us at the party. Here's tickets to the party. And it was a vampire theme. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. I'll go there. It was a really cool place. And I've told this story before, so I apologize if you're hearing it again. But I finally caught up with the person. He's like, hey, let's sit at this table and we'll talk. And the table were really kind of low. And they had this glow underneath them, like they were a glass that kind of looked like milk, like if milk was stored and lit underneath these tables. And so I'm sitting at the table and he's sitting and I'm trying to talk to him and he's trying to talk to me. And I want to make sure I go over this in my brain so I don't say anything that'd be inappropriate. And so I can barely hear. So we're leaning in, you know, we're trying to have a conversation. And all of a sudden, this like the center of about round shape of the table opened up. And I didn't realize there was like a door in the table. And as we're talking, this pole just starts rising right between us on this table. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this experience. And then once it reached the ceiling, some bouncer came over and like locked it into the ceiling while we're trying to talk business. And then a lady got up there and she's just dancing around, spinning around the center on the, you know, complete. Like I said, it never got worse than rated PG. It was never really, it was all just like it let your mind play tricks. But honestly, everybody was, and so she's like spinning around and she stops for a minute, and the other person trying to get my attention, she's very well in between us, puts his hands like this but on either side of the inside of her knee and goes like this so you can see me. Keep talking.
Wow.
I'll never get that. I thought, all right, man, if I can get through this, I can get the gig. And so I get through it. We have a great time. We see each other, and then I never got the gig. It's so funny. The experiences you have at GDC are just unbelievable. Yeah, Thirsty Bear is a good one. I see you listing there. Ooh, it's so packed though. You got to get to Thirsty Bear early. I've sat on the steps so many times or been squeezed up against a wall. You really got to get there early.
But that's not too bad because sometimes you can have some good conversation outside of the Thirsty Bear.
True.
That was actually the case for me last year, not at this early party, but at a later party during the week where, okay, some guys are trying to get in. Well, I don't really need to get in, but it'd be interesting to talk to these guys and just see what's up.
Yeah, the W, go to the W. Go to the Death Star bar across the street from the Palomar, which is the Marriott. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, that's a great one because you can get there at like 5, maybe a little sooner, get a seat and be in all night. You're there till 2 a.m. and you will just have a rotation of people talking to you. That's a great one. I really like that. You know, but I'm a little bit lazy about networking. Like I want to be able to talk to the people. I don't want to put, I was going to say, I don't want to put too much effort into it. That's not true. I mean, I'm spending a lot of money and going up to GDC and specifically looking for people to talk to. But yeah, but the Death Star bar is a real fun and good opportunity. It never gets too loud in there either. And also breakfast, man, at Mel's. Is it Mel's Diner?
Yeah, at Mel's. Well, let's see. There's sometimes it's at Mel's. Sometimes it's actually at the Denny's that's across the street from Mel's.
Yeah. DB will always host something over there.
Yeah.
And Spyglass Coffee by the Good Hotel is really good to go to as well. That's where you're going to get the Game Audio live podcast from Damien and oh, come on, Kyle. I'm so tired. His name left me. Who's Damien's partner? Anton.
Yeah.
So that's fun to attend too. And last time I went, which was not last year, but the year before. I can't believe it's passed that fast. That was my first time going to Spyglass, and I met so many people that I know from the industry, but had never met. Good people, a lot of good people. Anyway, what I was going to talk about is I interrupted myself to the point where we've lost too much time. We can't do it. But next show, let's talk about desktop speakers because, like I said, I've been listening to you guys when we do the show through these Klipsch THX somethings. I don't know what their model number is. It's just THX ready.
Oh, are those the Pro Media ones?
Here, hold on. I'll take off a screen. I don't know if that'll help. But you can.
I remember the Klipsch Pro. Oh yeah, those are the Pro Medias. Yeah.
Is that what it is?
And then it has like the fabric. It's got the fabric on top, and fabric
guy. They're fantastic, man.
Yeah, those are classic. I mean, I remember them being sort of classic. Yeah.
And you got to go between if you're gonna make games. You know, if you're gonna do audio for games, you got to listen on a good pair of speakers. Of course, you got to have your NS10s or HS50s, whichever you want. You got to have some desktop speakers. You got to have some headphones. You got to listen to your mix in all these different places. And these sound really good. And I like having the subwoofer with them because the controls right here, I can just turn down the subwoofer and not have any. Oh, stuck on me, and not have any influence on what's happening in that frequency, and then turn it back up and see if something's going wrong. Which on my bigger system, I used my Coleman SR 5.1 to switch between a bunch of different sets of speakers and pop in and out the LFE. But anyway, you want to talk more about these? I think I'd be a good one to give people some advice. Like, what kind of desktop speakers do I buy to get good audio? And also we could talk about whether you could even work on those. Could you stay on that? Could you mix and say, I'm only using desktop speakers?
Oh man, now I'm not sure I could do that. I'm not sure. I mean, I would want something that's more of a, dedicated full bandwidth monitoring solution. I mean, those Pro Medias, I remember them. I know quite a few people that have relied on them, and there are other good 3-piece desktop speaker solutions out there. But when you're dealing with the 0.1, things just get weird.
Yeah.
0.1 without bass management, as you typically get with consumer desktop oriented speakers, is just a whole other ball of wax that you have to deal with. And it's good to have that example, but having full bandwidth for your stereo is really important.
And also, I mean, you make such a great point about the crossover. This doesn't have any crossover on it. So I'm stuck at whatever they decided my subwoofer was going to cross over at.
Yeah. But the Pro Medias are really good.
I like them.
I remember them sounding really great when I was looking at those speakers back in the mid 2000s.
Gosh, I guess I bought them that long ago. Well, I'll tell you, you sound good on them.
Well,
and with that, we should probably get going.
Yeah. Excellent.
Good seeing you. That was a great topic. Great bunch of topics. Good show. Good to see you. Hopefully next week we can get Mike back in here. And hopefully Mike's doing well. And Alex and his fresh move to Sweden. It is Sweden, right? I'm not like...
I think it's Sweden, yeah. Home of those eponymous meatballs and Volvo. And yeah.
Oh, man. I don't have anything eponymous about me. I need an eponymous Kyle something. All right.
Kyle. Yeah, we'll figure that out off the air. Yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, chatties. And subscribe to us on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Friend us on Friendster. Does that exist anymore? Space us on MySpace. Anyway, do all the things. Bye.
Bye.